Hello, everyone. This is Kripa Anand, and welcome to the Canadian SME Small Business Podcast. Today, we are tackling one of the most expensive and complex decisions a business can make choosing an ERP. In 2026, many SMBs are falling into demo traps, buying flashy features that don't actually fit their business processes, leading to failed implementations and wasted capital. Joining us today is Jaikishan Prithiani, known as JP, the founder of Cyberlobe Technologies. With over 15 years of experience and a strictly vendor neutral approach, JP helps Canadian businesses navigate the high stakes world of ERP selection. He is a process first consultant who acts as a technology consultant or independent consultant to ensure business owners make decisions based on reality, not sales pitches. So, before further ado, let's welcome the special guest. JP, welcome to the podcast. Such a pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Kripa. Appreciate you inviting me to your podcast.
Of course, it's my pleasure. Now, JP, you often say that the traditional way smaller businesses pick an ERP is fundamentally broken. So let's start by understanding from your extensive experience, what is the biggest mistake SMBs make when selecting an ERP system? Go ahead.
Yeah, I think they go straight to the demos, right? So the
Mhm.
vendor book 90 minutes of a session to an hour session for them. They explain what the softwares can do. The software looks incredible. Everyone gets excited, and they
Mhm.
just went into, practically they like it, so they decided to go with it. Nobody stops to ask is like, does this actually fit what we work on? The mistake is letting the vendor define the conversation. So you end up buying a features you saw in the demo, but it's not 100% sure that's going to solve the problem you actually have. So that's where the process first always approach comes in.
No, definitely, I agree with what you're saying. People don't recognize the problems that they are facing themselves, right? So they don't have it in pointers. So when anyone is making a sales pitch to them, they just don't know how to respond and they just get
Yeah.
sold. Uh, that's true. Falling for a polished sales demo before understanding your own internal workflow is a recipe for a very expensive mismatch. Um, so, from your extensive experience, have you ever seen anyone around you making this mistake as well?
Yeah, many times. So as I said, let's just take a very real example. If I
Yeah,
like something, I know that I need this, and then I just go in to buy something, right? But
yeah,
what I'm looking at is just from a very one individual perspective that okay, this is the feature that I'm looking
right.
at it. ERP is not about just one thing. ERP is you're connecting all possible departments and the environment that you have in the business, right? So it should
Hmm.
work for everybody rather than just working for one specific sector. If that's the case, then the individual silo softwares working with an
Hmm.
automation with the other would be a perfect fit for you rather than going with the ERP. It should work. And there are many factors to consider. I won't just say I try to give you a very
Hmm.
simplified version of that, but there are
Right.
a lot many pointers that you would like to consider before you actually get into it.
No, definitely. Thank you for explaining that from a layman's perspective, and so that more and more listeners, get connected to it and understand it much better. Building on that, JP, let's explore the hidden costs and vendor locks in that often appear after ERP contracts are signed. So, go ahead and educate our listeners. What hidden costs or licensing traps do SMBs miss in ERP deals? Can you walk us through a real example in this as well?
Sure. So when you see the proposal, it's not what exactly you would pay,
Mm-hmm.
right? So and again, it's not something that the vendors are trying to hide or they are trying to give you a wrong proposal. But
Mm-hmm.
basically, this is all about the way you use the data or how many users are going to use the data. That's
Mm-hmm.
how the proposal is in basic structure of like that's going to be a per user cost if it's an
Right.
on-prem or it's going to be on the cloud if there's a training would be required. Those are the parameters, but they would get an actual answers when they come to know the final figures, right? So I can give you a proposal which has like I'm going to use it for the 50 users, but then at the end you decided to go that you would need to use it for the 100 users, then the cost would jump from a 50 to 100 users because keep in mind that all the proposals that you're seeing, either they're bound with the number of users
Mm-hmm.
or they have a different metrics to count it, but that's always going to be per user wise or a per user defined wise sort of a thing. So yeah, the number in the proposal is not actually what you pay. It's been I've seen in the deal base sort of a thing
Yeah.
where a per user license, and then you get into the implementation fees, one time setup fees,
Mm.
customization charges, training cost, the maintenance, whether it's an on-prem or the cloud, that's going to change too. The real pattern when you see this is, let's say, a manufacturing um, the vendor to a manufacturing business sold a
Yeah.
modules, they actually don't need it. So what they're doing is they are paying for something which they're not using it. And keep in mind, the vendor's incentive is to sell you the full suite that's available in that software, right? So if
Mm-hmm.
you take it a one, either if they have divided everything by the module wise, then their biggest incentive is like if you use everything, then it makes more sense for them. So those are the things that you want to keep in mind.
Mm-hmm.
Always, there's a very critical term which has been used as called a total cost of ownership. You should
Mm-hmm.
always count that because licensing fees may be just the one part of it, but how much customization we might need, how many hours that we're going to put down from our team, and if we need to hire somebody, then if there will be somebody, consultants, if he was going to work on that. So all those things should be counted before actually considering what the ERP is going to cost you.
No, very well articulated. Thank you so much for that. That was very, very helpful. Signing a deal you don't fully understand can lead to long-term financial anchors that, stifle your business growth. So thank you so much for that, JP. Now let's discuss why a vendor neutral approach is also very important when selecting ERP solutions. So, firstly, go ahead and explain from a layman's perspective what is vendor neutral approach, and then why should businesses work with this vendor neutral ERP advisor? What will they get out of it?
Yeah, so the vendor neutral basically means that they are not tied up in selling a specific software to you. So the
Mm-hmm.
vendor neutral or the tech agnostic or even an independent ERP or the CRM consulting firms like us, they all have the same agenda. It's like we would like to understand your process, and based on the process, we would recommend you the software solutions and any sort of a tech piece that's going to solve your problem. So
Mm-hmm.
that's actually a vendor neutral. Um, just let's take an example. Let's say from a vendor perspective, vendor believes that their software is the right answer,
Mm-hmm.
right? When you walk into the demo, you're talking to someone whose job is to close that specific lead or a deal for them. That's not basically an advisor, right? That's a salesperson, and nothing wrong with that. But you should know who you're dealing with, right? The neutral advisor or a vendor neutral has a no commissions,
Mm-hmm.
no preferred vendor specifically. It's like, I'm not going to recommend you an X specific software because I have a good relationship with them. Uh, like a company in ours, we have a very clear understanding is like the process first, the technology comes to us as second. We should
Mm-hmm.
know what the process looks like and which ERP or the CRM is going to fit into that.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the vendor neutral approach is, right? The only outcome we care about is whether the system is going to work for your business or not. That's the fundamental difference when it comes to a vendor neutral versus buying directly from the company.
And it also proves that there's no malintention behind the advice that is being given. There's no personal motive attached to it, so that
Certainly.
makes a huge difference, specifically when the advising part of it is concerned. So thank you for that, JP. On that note, here's a special message for all of our listeners, specifically to all the business owners watching. In 2026, stop letting the fox guard the hen house. If the person advising you on your software gets a commission from the vendor they recommend, you aren't getting advice. You're getting a sales pitch. Your ERP is the nervous system of your company. Before you look at a single screen or demo, map your process and find an advocate who doesn't care which logo is on the box as long as it solves your problem. Don't buy a solution for a process you haven't fixed yet. Coming back to you, JP, having a bias free advocate in the room ensures that technology serves the business rather than the business serving the technology, right? So that's great to know. Uh, if from all the listeners who are listening to you right now, let's look at why improving business processes should come before choosing technology. So for everyone who is listening, if there's one immediate thing that you would recommend that fix this before evaluating your ERP software, what would that one thing be?
Yeah, document your workflows.
Mm-hmm.
Um, See, you can get n number of features in
Yeah.
most of the softwares, right? So, and with my experience of 15, 20 years, I have a good team around me as well. We have never seen that one specific ERP system or a practice management system, or you take any systems, they're going to give you 100% of the features that you need. It's not going to happen. So rather than taking software and then trying to put that into your process is like practically you are given a
Yeah.
prescription and then you're diagnosing that what's going to be the cause of this.
Right.
Practically that's
No.
not going to work for you. So first
Mm-hmm.
diagnose your workflows, write down your workflows, and then start finding, okay, for this system, this other ERP systems might work for you, or the CRM, or whatever the tech solutions that you're trying to solve.
No, definitely. Fixing a broken process manually is always cheaper and more effective than trying to automate chaos with expensive software. So, on that note, if a Canadian SMB owner came to you tomorrow and said, JP, we need an ERP in 6 months. So, walk us through exactly what you would tell them to do step by step.
I would I would ask them to let's not put the timer on it for now. For the
Hmm.
next 6 months, I would say
Hmm.
first let's talk about what you're going to what the process is already you have and what you're trying to fix actually.
Right. Going to the history and fixing the past first before going further.
Yeah, exactly right. So I would like, let's say if they are in a process of already searching the softwares, I would say let's just take a step back and let's first evaluate what the workflow or the processes you have. And
Hmm.
that's what the goal is like.
Yeah.
Are you trying to save the time? Are you plan is to improve your processes or
Right.
you want to make your delivery faster? What's the ultimate goal of this? Then based on this, we have a 5D process, which is like, start with discovery, discover it, then define the process, then design
Hmm.
the new process, then
Hmm.
deliver it, and then try to tighten up that process by driving the growth on it. So it's a, to we say, a 5D process, but the ultimate goal is understand what your workflows would say to you. Based on the
Hmm.
workflows, see what the success would look like to you. It's like,
Yeah.
am I doing a inventory visibility? That's what I need more because I'm not able to see where my things are coming in, things are going out. That would be the thing. And then the third would be get your data in order. See, ERP will only work if you have the right data in a system. if
Hmm.
if the garbage comes in, the garbage is going to go out. So
Yeah.
ultimately, you are not going to see the what you should see it. So mm,
Yeah.
bring everything in order, and then there is a good possibility that, like, okay, then you would have a very realistic picture that okay, this is possible in the 6 months, this is possible in the 12 months, sort of a thing. We have seen people do implement the ERP. They say that this is doable in the 3 months, and the project is still running for the 3 years. Um,
Right.
and there is no one solution or a problem that you would say that okay, this is the reason why it failed. There are
Yeah.
multiple reasons always, because if you don't have a clear picture, you're going to take the decisions based on what you see. So the one wrong decision leads to another one, and then another one, and that goes
Yeah.
on.
Very well said. Thank you so much for those insights, JP. I'm loving this conversation, and definitely I'd love for you to be back, hopefully, for an in studio episode that we do the
I
next.
wish.
But for now, before we let you go, as an entrepreneur, JP, first go ahead and tell us, did you always wanted to become an entrepreneur yourself? Was business always in your blood growing up? Did you always know that, you won't work for someone else and create something of your own? And second, For the fellow entrepreneurs who are listening to you right now, who might be a little overwhelmed, specifically when it comes to ERP, if you could whisper one thing into their ear, what would you say and why?
I'll answer this in a two parts. One, what the founder should look when they're looking for the ERP option is like stop researching the softwares.
Mm-hmm,
That's not the first way that you want to start with. Start documenting your problems. It's like what you're trying to solve, what the process, what current process you have, and what actual the process is on your floor,
mm-hmm,
or in your business. You don't have an ERP problem. You have a process problem, the visibility problem, or a growth problem, or there are multiple other things that might be the part of it.
mm-hmm.
ERP is definitely a part of the solution, but if you can
Yeah.
have a clarity, articulated that this is broken, or this is not working in our current system, or this is what we want to automate the process, then it's much easier for you to find the options. Like talk to someone who's trying to solve the same thing, or
Mm-hmm.
get clarity first. The software would get a lot easier because that's already visible what some of the softwares can do for you, right?
Right.
If your process is not visible to you, what you're doing is again the same thing is like I'm trying to fit my foot in a shoe rather
Yeah.
than knowing what I want to buy from.
So definitely that makes sense. Um, that is a great reminder that the best decision is often the one that simplifies your business, not complicates it, right? So
Yeah,
thank you so much for joining us today, JP. It has been such a pleasure having you on the show.
indeed, it was great talking to you, and hopefully we can do it in person too someday.
Of course. We're looking forward to that. All right. That was Jaikishan Prithiani, aka JP from Cyberlobe Technologies, a vital masterclass in how to navigate the ERP minefield by putting your business process before the technology. Thank you so much for tuning into the Canadian SME Small Business Podcast. Be sure to subscribe and visit CanadianSME.ca for more such resources. To learn more about how we are supporting the ecosystem, please visit the Canadian SME Small Business Foundation at smbfoundation.ca. And lastly, a special thank you to our partners, UPS and ADP, our HR partner, for their ongoing commitment to empowering SMBs across Canada. I'll see you all in the next episode. Kripa Anand signing off.